Contrary to what you read on social media, building a business is not easy at all. It's not as simple as putting your money into this coin and waking up tomorrow and oh my gosh, it's gone to the moon and you're a millionaire. In this video, I'm going to be talking to you about some of the mistakes that I have made on my business journey, which includes building in the healthcare space, building in the clothing space, and also just dabbling around with like eBay and Amazon and other platforms like that. If you're new here, my name is Malone and I am interested in the business of healthcare, the business of property, and the business of improving my life in my 20s. And in this video, I'm going to be showing you some of the mistakes that I have made along the way. People are not as passionate as you are. And the quicker that you understand this, the quicker that it helps you to move forward. I think in the beginning, when I was looking for people to join the team, I wanted people that were super passionate about the mission, people who were able to do absolutely anything. And it's important to realize that to some people that they just see what you're doing as a job. And that's okay. Like, not every single person on your team or not every single person around you is going to be as passionate as you are. And I think sometimes this is a very false metric to even look at, because of course you're going to be the most passionate person about this mission, about this problem. Otherwise, you would not have solved the small problems that you did in the first place. You would not even be here looking for other people to recruit. However, it's imperative for you to be the person that is super passionate so that you are able to convince other people to join you on your journey when you're going to the top. Number 2, communication. This is something that I have struggled with in the past. And if I'm being open and transparent, I will say sometimes I still struggle with it today. In my head, I will think of an idea and it will be so clear, like I will completely be able to see it, know what to do exactly. But when I communicate this to somebody else, let's say a designer, let's say a developer, sometimes these things didn't necessarily always get across. One of the ways that I've mitigated against this sometimes breakdown in communication is by being able to create a mock-up of something. So let's take when I was building a clothing brand, for instance. Instead of me saying to the designer or to the printers that, oh, I want you to print our logo in the top right of the t-shirt, I would literally send them a picture with the positioning, with the sizing, with everything done to the T, just so that there is no breakdown in communication. And I think this is something that has helped me get over the challenge that I have of sometimes not being able to communicate clearly. The other thing about communication as well is sometimes communication is imperative internally. For people to be able to understand the mission that you're on, you need to be able to communicate that clearly. If you're always chopping and changing and confusing people about what the mission is, you might actually find that people have interpreted things in one way and you're interpreting things in another way. And this sets you off on two different paths, but you think you're working together. The other thing with communication is once you do have people working with you and around you, it's important to communicate what people's roles are, what people's expectations are, just to make sure that you're on the same page. Because I've seen it happen time and time again where somebody thinks that in the politest way they are more important than they actually are. So what I mean by this is somebody might think that they're potentially the co-founder of a company when in actuality the person who brought them on actually just wants them to be able to do social media management. And this is all because of a lack of communication. The third thing which I am so guilty of is not celebrating the small wins. Like, if anything, celebrating the small wins potentially could be more important than celebrating the big wins. And the reason why I say this is because the journey of being a founder or trying to create your own ventures is very ups and downs. The highs can be so high and the lows can be so low. And if you find yourself always celebrating the big wins and that's it, typically you'll find probably a day or two after that big win, you'll probably be back to that all-time low, simply because of the swing in energy. Whereas if you find time to be able to celebrate the small wins, if it's, we had a goal to be able to put out 100 emails this week, we had a goal to be able to get 5 new customers on board. These are still wins which will be able to help you get to that big win eventually. And these should be celebrated as well. And I made the mistake of not celebrating these wins and finding myself in a position where I was disappointed after a very big win just because of the chopping and changing of energy that was going on. Number 4, and probably one of my most favorite learnings on the journey, is that saying that people always say is like, never drink the Kool-Aid, like never believe the hype, like never listen to external noise. Like, you could be on top of the world and everybody outside could be giving you awards, could be putting you on the news, could be doing so many things, but it's very important that your validation comes from within, because as soon as you start chasing that validation from the outside world, one thing about the outside world, just as quickly as they bring you up is as quickly as they will tear you down. And it's important for you to know within yourself that this is actually a massive achievement for me, because you know where you came from. Whereas if you use external validation to be the source of your validation, it means that the metrics are chopped and changed. You might look at an achievement and go, actually, this is not a big deal, because you've just seen an Instagram post of somebody who's done something even bigger. And before you know it, you'll find yourself not being able to navigate that space. Also, not believing the hype is so important, because sometimes you can get too much in your own head that you actually think that the mission is done before you've even done the work. I always see people who fall into listening to the hype, and it's sometimes so sad when this happens, because the thing that got you there is the thing that you need to keep on doing, not necessarily the thing that now that you've got a bit of clout, you're being invited to all these places. You need to optimize for doing the work so that you can continue to open the door to more rooms, not optimize to be sitting at every single conference, to be on every single article out there. Sometimes people don't actually want to help you because they want to help you. They want to help you because they want to help themselves. And I still don't necessarily have a proper opinion on this, because I don't know whether this is a good thing or a bad thing. But one thing that I think is that it's important for you to be able to know who these people are in your life. The person who wants to help you to help themselves is usually the person that cares about that external validation that I spoke about. This is the person that is chasing the vanity metrics, chasing the LinkedIn post, and they want to be able to use you by association to increase their LinkedIn ability, to increase their presence, to make it look like they're doing good things. Usually a sign of a person like this is the person who's not willing to get their hands stuck in the mud, but the person who's always talking the loudest. Like, make sure you spot these people very early on. And what you do to decide whether to keep them on or to get rid of them is completely up to you, because sometimes it might be a good thing. It might be something which is actually a stepping stone for both parties. But I think it's so important to be able to recognize who these people are early on. And then lastly, hard things are hard. In fact, I'm going to say it again. Hard things are very hard. And this is something that in fact, to this day, I still have a very hard time accepting sometimes. I will take on a mission like being able to redefine healthcare for Black and brown people all across the globe. And then I will be sitting there complaining that, oh my gosh, this is so hard. I haven't figured it out. I feel like I don't know where I'm going. I feel like I don't know what I'm doing. But it's important for me to be able to appreciate that these things are not easy. And if they were easy, somebody would have figured it out, and I wouldn't be doing this in the first place. So before you go on that journey, I think sometimes it's important to accept that the journey is going to be very hard. A quote that I recently read this week is that when you're climbing a mountain, the mountain's never actually smooth. The mountain has jagged edges, it has ups and downs, just so that you have somewhere to hold on to when you're climbing up that mountain. And I thought that's really beautiful, because essentially that is the epitome of what hard things are. Hard things are going to be jaggedy, they're going to have rough edges, but this allows you to be able to climb up the mountain. And it allows you to be able to get there in slow incremental steps, because hard things are hard. So if you enjoyed any of these tips on some of the mistakes and some of the learnings that I've had on my business journey, let me know what your favorite one was in the comments. And if you are somebody who has made other mistakes, it will be great if you can drop that in the comments below for people who are watching this video to be able to learn from you. And I will catch you in the next video.